Buddy, thanks for being patient. We're having some issues connecting with middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Number one contender Yoel Romero is on the line along with his translator, Ibiores Rivera. So why don't we go ahead and get started with Yoel, and then as soon as we're able to fix the connecting issues with Robert, we'll have him join. So with that, let's open up the questions.
And again, everyone, that's star one to signal for a question at this time, star one for questions. Chris with 411 Mania MMA.
Good afternoon, Yoel Romero. Thank you for joining us today. We're almost a year removed from that first fight with Robert Whittaker. Have you put just how much of a tough loss that was? Because that was also for the title, but now you have a chance to redeem yourself. So I guess how much more important is this fight for you right now?
Hace un año que ustedes pelearon esta pelea. ¿Cuál es la importancia? How much importance tú tienes en esta pelea? ¿Cuál es lo más importante de esta pelea?
Hello, bro. The importance for this fight is to take the ball. For him, I think is he wanted the return the ball. For me, is the for the fight. You know, it's not only think about the fight, the ball. When I fight somebody, I want to win. That's it. That's the most important here. I don't want to lose it. I want to win. So that's the important for me.
And my next question is, since the first fight, have you thought about a lot what you will do in the rematch and what you think you should do differently for the decision or the outcome to be different this time?
Después de esta pelea, ¿qué tú has pensado para la diferencia en la pelea que viene? En la última pelea que tú peleaste.
¿Cómo?
La última pelea que tú peleaste.
¿Con él o con
él? Con él. ¿Qué tú has pensado para ser diferente para esta pelea?
You need to pay the pay-per-view, and you see what I make it different in this fight for the first fight when I have it with Whittaker. You need to pay pay-per-view, and now you see where I make it different.
And last question for Yoel. You in the past have had a very intense rivalry with former middleweight champion Michael Bisping, who announced his retirement this week. Do you have any thoughts on Michael Bisping retiring from the sport?
Tu pensamiento en Michael Bisping retirándose para esta pelea.
I say I pray que yo rezo por él.
He prays for him.
Por su familia.
For his family.
Que tenga una vida fuera del octágono llena de paz.
He has a great life after out of the fighting industry.
Y que tenga una vida próspera.
And he has a prosperous life.
Thank you, Yoel, and good luck to you for this fight coming up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Damon Martin with flowcombat.com.
Hey guys, first question, Yoel, you went 5 hard rounds with Robert Whittaker the last time. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in that fight, going 5 rounds and going all 25 minutes with him?
¿Cuál fue la cosa más grande que tú tenías cuando después peleando con él por los 5 rounds en la pelea que tú tenías con él?
¿Cómo una cosa más grande? No entiendo.
Could you repeat the question again?
Sure. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself, going 25 minutes with Robert Whittaker the last time?
De lo que yo aprendí de él. Hey, hello, my man. Every time in your life, you need to learn about everything what you're doing. When you lose it, when you win, you need to learn, And this time, what I learned about this fight is about the timing for where you need a timing. You need to learn about the timing and the fight. You know, about the round to rounds, about the minute, los minutos.
The minutes, the rounds, everything. You learn everything from that last.
¿Cómo se debe trabajar en cada minuto, en cada round?
How you have to work after every minute and every round.
Cuando vas a pelear 5 rounds.
When you're gonna fight 5 rounds.
And Yoel, you were an Olympic silver medalist. You've won championships in wrestling, but what would it mean to you to become UFC middleweight champion?
¿Qué significa tú ganar, ser campeón de esta posición?
Ahora en estos mismos momentos no estoy pensando en ser campeón, estoy pensando en ganar mi pelea.
He's not thinking about winning the belt at this time. He's thinking about winning the fight.
I know it's tough to answer.
When I win the fight, you can make this question, and I can respond.
And last one for me, Yoel, because you and because this is the second fight with you and Robert, you go out there and beat him on June 9th. Do you believe you will have to fight him a third time? Do you believe you will end up seeing him a third time to kind of settle the score once and for all?
Si tú le ganas ahora, usted va a tener parte 3.
Yo no sé, yo he peleado en la lucha hasta 4 y 5 veces con el mismo atleta.
He doesn't know that. He said that he's fought wrestling 4 or 5 times with the same fighter.
Y hasta más también.
Even more.
Así que después de esta pelea pueden venir hasta 10 peleas más con Robert.
After this fight, you could bring 10 more fights with Robert Whittaker.
Thank you, Yoel.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Adrian Warren, Australian Associated Press.
Hi, well, I just wanted to ask you, the last fight here in Australia in Perth against Luke Rockhold, you missed weight. I wondered what you'd learnt from the lead up there to make sure that this time round you have no issues with the weight. Hello?
Hello?
One more time on the question, please.
Yes,
Hello, because here no sé nada.
We can't really hear from this side. It sounds real far.
Okay, yeah, I'm ringing from a long way away in Australia, but I'm repeating the question. Last time Yoel fought here in Australia against Rockhold, he missed the weight. I just wondered what he learned from his preparation from last time to make sure that he will make the weight this time, and if he's having any problems making the weight this time.
La última vez que tú peleaste, tú no llegaste al peso, pero que si tú aprendiste, ¿qué tú estás haciendo ahora para hacer lo del peso?
Pregúntale si ha visto cuántas veces yo he hecho el peso.
Have you seen how many times he's made weight? He's asking you that question.
How many times what, sorry? I beg your pardon?
He's made weight in his past fights.
Yeah, sure I have. I guess obviously this was the last one was an interim title fight. So I just wondered, if he'd identified anything from his preparation in the last fight, so that that won't be a problem this time.
Así va a ser un problema con el peso.
Dile que hago este peso desde 1996.
He's been doing this weight since 1996. It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go next to Akhilesh Ganavaratu with MMAIndia.com.
Hello, Mr. Romero. Thank you so much for taking the time. My first question is, you've been here before, just one step away from getting the title. So how important is this fight for you in terms of your MMA career and what you've achieved so far?
Yo estaba aquí en esta posición antes. ¿Cuál es la cosa más importante para esta pelea?
Ganar la pelea. the most important is in this time is a winning fight.
Okay, and I also paid attention to you saying that in this fight, every moment in every round is important for you. Could you just elaborate on that? Do you think that was where the last fight went wrong for you?
Cada momento es lo más importante, cada minuto es lo más importante. Que si tú lo puedes decir, que le diga un poco de la importancia de cada minuto de la pelea.
Desde que me dieron, desde que le gané a Luke Rockhold y que Dana White dijo que yo iba a discutir el título mundial, desde ese mismo momento todos los minutos fueron importantes.
After he beat Luke Rockhold and Dana White told him that he was going to fight for the belt, every minute has been very important for him.
Hasta el último minuto, hasta el último minuto de junio 9 va a ser importante. Hasta el último minuto de junio 9.
Up to the last minute of June 9th, every minute is going to be important.
All right, so the last question is, Whittaker previously said during an interview that he won't fight Romero if he missed weight. Has Romero been paying attention to his comments going into the fight?
Soy de los comentarios que está diciendo Robert Whittaker, que si tú no haces...
No, yo no.
No, he hasn't heard that. He hasn't paid attention to it.
No soy
right,
gente
thank
de
you.
He's not a social media person.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Romero.
Thank you. And as a reminder, that's *1 for questions. We'll go next to Harry Kettle with Sportskeeda MMA.
Hi, guys. My first question is obviously for Yoel. Which part of Robert Whittaker's game do you think is going to be the most dangerous when you face off again?
Por parte va a ser the most dangerous para cuando ustedes se enfrenten otra vez.
¿Cómo querer arrancar la cabeza los?
They're going to want to take each other's head, both of us.
And secondly, Yoel, is this the most physically fit you've ever felt coming into a fight? You seem to get better and better as the fights go on. Is this the most physically fit you've ever felt?
Esto es lo mejor que tú estás sentado. Tú siempre te mejoras, mejor y mejor. Esto es lo mejor que tú estás sentado. Te has sentido ahora.
Me siento bien.
It feels great.
Me siento muy bien.
It feels very good.
Me siento bendecido.
It feels blessed.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. All the best.
We'll go next to Keith Schillen with the MMA Takeover.
Thank you. My first question for Yoel is, Yoel, you're a world champion wrestler, but when you fought Robert, you had 18 takedown attempts with only 4 takedowns. What in Robert's game makes it so difficult to take him down?
Cuando tú peleaste con Robert Whittaker, tú trataste de bajarlo 18 veces y 4 veces fue que lo dejaste. ¿Cuál es lo difícil de Robert Whittaker para cogerlo a él?
Creo que se mueve hacia atrás. No. Que él hace la pelea, que se mueve hacia atrás. Es eso lo que hace difícil hacerle takedown.
He takes his fight. He fights going backwards, and that's what makes it difficult for him.
Okay, and my other question for you is, in the co-main event, you have Rafael Dos Anjos and Colby Covington. Colby Covington obviously has been making a lot of noise. One thing he said was that he plans on to moving down to lightweight and up to middleweight.
Colby said that?
Is that a match? Yeah, Colby said that. Yeah, Colby said that. Is that a fight that interests you, and what's your thoughts on his general statement of saying that?
Que Colby dijo que va a subir al middleweight.
Dile que lo haga.
Dile en inglés.
Do it. You know me. Do it.
Do I got to translate that, or you understood that?
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
today's call. We do have UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker on the line. So, Yolanda, let's open up the questions.
Okay, we'll go first to Jeffrey Harris with MMA.
Good day, Robert. Thank you for joining us today. We're almost a year removed from your first fight with Yoel Romero, but since that time, you've had some injuries and some illnesses you've been dealing with. It sounds like what you were dealing with was pretty intense. So, I mean, how is the battle just to get back to this point where you're about to be fighting again?
Yeah, thanks for everyone for being patient first and foremost. Secondly, being sick and getting injured, I think it's all part of the game. And you know what they say, when it rains it pours. So when I got sick, I got really sick. I'm pretty blessed in the fact that I don't generally get sick, but I guess when I get sick, I do it properly, right? I ended up getting a staph that got out of hand, and then at the end of that, I ended up getting chickenpox, and chickenpox is by far the worst thing I have ever had in my life. I tell people about it and they laugh at me, but I tell them it is nasty.
Now, Robert, this situation, did it disappoint you at all how things concluded with Michael Bisping and George St-Pierre, where we had a situation where George St-Pierre, he ended up winning the title and ended up relinquishing it, making you the full undisputed champion, and you ended up not fighting either of those men. Did it disappoint you how that ended up?
It disappointed me in the sense that, from a fighting perspective, I obviously go out there to try and fight anyone and everyone with the highest caliber. I think George St-Pierre has proven that. So same with Michael Bisping. They've both proven that they're of the highest caliber, but both of them, their time was up. They both stepped down and they had enough. And it is what it is. I have to respect their decisions.
And Robert, I'm just so impressed with what you have accomplished at middleweight, considering you started your UFC career as a welterweight. And it's not often you see many fighters at your level moving up a weight class. And you may not be, can you speak at all about possibly not being the biggest middleweight in the world and also being such a big success when we've seen many fighters this year already missing weight for their fights? Are fighters trying to be too big and heavy for their weight class on any level?
Have you seen me, mate? I'm huge, dude. But it was just a natural progression for me. I always knew that I was gonna have to move up. It was just a matter of when, and the cuts really started taking it out of my performance and taking it out of the water in my body, the water in my brain. It started becoming a bit too much for me. So I moved up, and if I'm honest with myself, I should have probably done it much sooner. I just feel so much more natural. I hold a lot of my weight well. I don't think I'm as light as people give me credit for. I think I'm a little bit bigger than that, but I think I hold my speed well. My power has definitely gone through the roof, and my endurance and ability to take shots as well has also increased.
All right, so middleweight's your natural weight, but do you think more fighters maybe need to be fighting at their natural weight instead of trying to cut too much?
Oh, I think it's a fine line. I think personally, if I were to rule it out, I'd have to say I think everyone should do what's healthy for their body. And if doing these huge cuts for any sort of advantage is dangerous to your body and to your health and to the longevity of your life and organs, I think you should really, really have a good hard look at it, because one day everyone will put up their gloves, and and then you're left with what you've put your body through after that, during that time. So I think it's important that everyone just focuses on their health and does what's good for their body.
Thank you for joining us today, Robert, and good luck at UFC 225.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll go next to Damon Martin with flowcombat.com.
Hey, Robert. First question, I wanted to ask you about Michael Bisping, because obviously he retired this week, and I know you were supposed to fight him at one time. It didn't come together. I know you guys had kind of gone back and forth a little bit when he was champion, but I just want to get your thoughts on him, as he retires from the sport, this week.
Yeah, I think he's a true warrior. I really do.
he's done it all. You know, he's lost, he's won, and he's become champion. He's a true test of endurance and determination. I really do. I think a lot of people can learn a thing or two watching his career. In terms of fighting him, you know, from one fighter to another, there's a lot of respect in terms of wanting to fight each other. There would have been a lot of respect there and a lot of honour earned. But I'm happy not to have fought him, just due to the fact that I've always liked him. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, I was a bit of a fan of his, to be honest.
It's been a year, basically almost a year since you fought, and I know it's been tough for you to be out, but how much have you paid attention to the middleweight division, you know, in your absence? With Luke Rockhold, it seems like he's leaving the division. You got Chris Weidman, Kelvin Gastelum's obviously coming off a couple of big wins. Like, what are your thoughts on the state of the middleweight division, you know, since you've won the title?
I don't care, to be honest. I never have, and even when I was going up, or now that I'm champion, I still don't care. It's the UFC line up the number one contender in front of me, and it's my job to knock him down. And you know, if that ever changes, then it's my job to take on whoever they put in front of me until I'm back at the top. It's just that is my journey, that is my path, that is my craft. That's what I do.
You obviously beat Yoel last year, and, you know, you couldn't help the fact that you got sick and had to take some time off. But, you know, what are your thoughts on fighting him back-to-back? I know a lot of times it doesn't happen very often, and you beat a guy, and now you've got to kind of go back through the motions again. I mean, how were your thoughts on that? I mean, is it just part of the sport because you were out, or were you kind of disappointed that it didn't end up being somebody else? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
No, it's a pain in the ass, to be honest. It was a very hard and tiring first fight, and to have to back that up with the same fight again, it's certainly a pain. But no, it'll be another good fight. It was a good hard fight. I think it was a good fight to watch. I think the crowd and all the fans out there loved watching the fight. And then one of my biggest goals is to just bring exciting fights and fights that bring a lot of honor to me and my family.
Is there a part of you that feels like you want to, you know, kind of put an extra stamp on this fight? Because the last fight, he came out very strong early. I know he hurt your knee early, and you were able to come back and, you know, really have a strong, you know, final 3 rounds in that fight. Is there a part of you that kind of wants to put a stamp on this, get a finish, or really dominate him and just kind of leave no question?
I try to do that every fight. I don't know if sometimes I don't look like I am, but generally I'm trying to do that every fight. Last fight with him, 25 minutes, I was trying to finish him. He's a tough guy. And then I got tired, and he was still tough, and I wasn't hitting as hard. But this fight, as far as I'm concerned, I had 25 minutes to try and finish him to try and finish him. And I'm going to use every single second of those minutes to try and achieve that.
And last one for me, Robert. You know, you've always said you're just going to fight whoever the UFC puts in front of you. It's not your job to call out people. But in this day and age where we are seeing these champion versus champion fights, we're seeing Stipe in DC. There was talk about Dillashaw and Johnson. Tyron Woodley has talked a lot about coming up to middleweight and, you know, testing himself. He had tried to fight Michael Bisping. He wanted to fight George St-Pierre. What is your interest in a fight with Tyron in that sense, champion versus champion? Is that something that actually interests you, or does it even matter?
It doesn't matter to me right now. The only guy in my sights right now is Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero is a hard dude on the best of nights. I can't disrespect him in that regard, even for a second, and look past him. Otherwise, I'll lose in that instance. He is too tough. He hits too hard, and he's too good. So I'm going to focus solely on him. Literally whoever the UFC wants me to fight, or whoever wants to fight me afterwards, they can get in line. You know, there's a whole list of contenders in my division that they want to take my head off, and they can join the queue.
Thanks, Robert.
We'll take our next question from Harry Kettle with Sportskeeda MMA.
Morning, Robert. My first question. You've kind of obviously spent some time out, courtesy of injuries and things like that. Now that you're back, how important is it for you to create a legacy as a fighting champion in the UFC?
Creating a legacy is one of my overall objectives in my career as a fighter. And it didn't stop when I got sick. That is part of the legacy, and that is part of my journey. Being sick and going through those turmoils and hardships is what makes the reward so sweet, or what makes getting over those bumps and those obstacles so glorifying.
And when we look elsewhere on this, obviously 225 card, you've got Megan Anderson and Tai Tuivasa. How excited are you to kind of have this kind of Australian invasion of sorts on this card in Chicago? And how does it feel to be, the focal point really of your region's MMA scene?
Yeah, it's an honour to be, I guess, one of the leaders in the flagship that's Australian MMA. And for it's always been one of my passions is to increase the popularity of the sport and the growth of the sport of mixed martial arts in Australia, so that the younger guys coming up through the ranks can seriously look at MMA as a career opportunity.
And if we just go back to, obviously, when Romero fought Rockhold and inevitably beat him, before that fight, were you kind of preparing yourself, even though the fight obviously didn't take place because of your injury, were you preparing yourself for the possibility of fighting Rockhold, or did you kind of think in the back of your mind that Romero had it in him to finish him, and this was kind of maybe destined to happen again, if you want?
Well, I was preparing for Rockhold during that whole prep, and until I got sick, and then once I got sick, what they were doing and who I was going to fight next didn't matter to me. Everything I was doing was just focusing on getting better and trying to get over the sickness. There wasn't an after at that point. I was just going through the motions.
And one final one from me. Given obviously that this is a rematch, is there one thing that you're kind of expecting him to change right from the word go when you get in the octagon and the fight starts? Is there one thing you're thinking to yourself, I can tell that he's going to do this one thing differently, specifically to try and get an advantage that he didn't have last time?
I don't think there is anything he can do that can give him more of an advantage than he had last time, to be honest. I don't think he has it in his... I don't think he can change that drastically at his age and in this little amount of time before the fight. I just don't see it. If he does, then I'm sure I'll adapt and I'll be prepared. It's kind of what I do. But I just don't see it. But I'll tell you what, I've got a bag of new tricks that I'm looking forward to bringing out and throwing at him.
Thanks, mate. Can't wait to see them. All the best next weekend.
Thank you very much, mate.
We'll take our next question from Akhilesh Ganavarachu with MMAWeekly.com.
Morning, champ. Thank you for taking the time. Firstly, I want to ask you this. Does it kind of feel a little overwhelming, perhaps, that your first defense against someone you defeated in your last fight?
Sorry, you're going to have to repeat that question. You were breaking up a little bit, and it was kind of crackly.
Sure. Does it kind of feel a little underwhelming, perhaps, that your first title defense as the undisputed champ is against someone you defeated in your last fight?
No, not really, to be honest. He's a tough guy. He's #1 contender. And, after beating Rockhold, he deserves a shot. He's beaten everybody else. There's just me and him now. So, and then defending the belt doesn't mean much to me. My ultimate goal is just to fight the top dogs, to fight the boogeyman, the bad guys. So, I look forward to fighting Romero.
All right, and the first time around, you fought and kind of as it's low. Is that something that's at the back of...
Akhilesh, are you still there? You're breaking up quite a bit. Are you still on the line, Akhilesh?
Yes. Can you hear me now? Is it
better? A little better so far.
Okay, so the first time around, you were more active in the championship round and warded off Romero's takedown attempts as it slowed down. Is that kind of something that's at the back of your head to push Yoel for all 5 rounds?
Yeah, definitely. I think anyone fighting Romero wants to try to push it into the later rounds to drag it out. to try and drag someone as explosive as him into the later rounds, obviously, isn't going to be good for him. He's super athletic. He has got good cardio, and he's highly explosive. And the way he fights just isn't meant for those long rounds.
Right, absolutely. And I think someone brought up the statistics before, where he attempted 18 takedowns, but only succeeded in taking you down 4 times. What do you attribute that kind of success to?
My wrestling defense is, I don't know. To be honest, I wrestle. I wrestle a lot. I train a lot. I don't neglect it. I make sure that I cover all my bases, and then I just be me out there. I worry about my offense, and it's surprisingly hard to take someone down who's backing up as well as throwing punches and kicks.
Right, and my final question for you is, we just got to see Darren Till's weight cut at UFC Liverpool, which looked very dangerous. You've made the move from 170 to 185 yourself and have won all of your fights so far at middleweight. So I wanted to get your thoughts on how you felt personally since moving up a weight class.
Moving on the weight class was the best move for me, health-wise and career-wise. Which, funny enough, are directly relative. It was getting dangerous for me to cut the weight, and it was getting harder for me to cut the weight. And cutting the weight and making the weight is half your job. So I made the move to go up, feel more comfortable, feel more relaxed, much healthier cut. And then I have all the power I need up there. I have the speed. I have everything I need in middleweight. This is the weight I'm supposed to be at. And, it was the best move career-wise for me.
All right, understood. Thank you so much for the time, and all the very best for the upcoming fight.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, everyone, for your questions. I'll turn the conference back to Josh Eldridge. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you to Robert Whittaker.